This video is about buffing your guitar finish to a high gloss finish. Now, it's not about sanding and spraying and sanding and spraying and moving up in grades and wet and dry sanding. Not that. This is on buffing. And the things you should not do if you ever buff your guitar, especially with a high speed, high RPM buffer. Hold on. And by the way, hang around. I got another trick for you. Alright, welcome back and thank you for tuning in again, folks. We're going to talk about buffing your guitar's finish. I know a lot of you like a satin finish. This is for you all guys and gals that like a really shiny finish. If you want to make your guitar have that brand new look again and look, just sparkling shiny all over, this video is for you. Now, I got some things here I wanted to share with you. Somebody asked me a while back what kind of buffing compound I use, and usually I use collar tone more than anything else. I think when my buffer motor burned up, I had ordered this when it first burned up, and these came in, and then after that I ordered these little wheels. And what buffing I've done since my buffer burned up, I use collar tone. Those wheels, they're from NK or ONK, however you pronounce it where you live. ENKAY. It's a 4-piece thing. These have never even been opened yet. It's like I say, my buffer burned up, man. The motor burned up in it. And I've never used these yet. I was going to say, I've been using these wheels, though. They're from ONK, too. And I've been using oddly enough, a handheld bench grinder, handheld grinder, like you grind metal with. These spins at a really high RPM on that grinder. And I haven't buffed very many guitars since my big buffer blew up. But I'm going to bring you over here and show you this stuff and tell you how to get that brand new shine on your guitar. Now, this will remove some scratches, but not, if they're really deep. Very light scratches it will remove. If they're really deep, then you got to go into sandpaper and go through the grits of that again and sand it flat. Unless they're really deep, deep wounds. And a lot goes in that. That's not what this video is about, though. Come on over, get you something to eat, drink, and make sure you bring the smoke. And let's do it! Alright, let's get into it. I'll show you these one more time up close. Maybe you couldn't read it because of the light glare over there like that. This first one, the black one, is for buffing like brass and metal and that kind of thing. This is your coarse. And this says on the back, the white one, it says, what did it say? For light cutting action and collaring on aluminum, brass, copper, gold. Yeah, the list goes on and on. There's all kind of stuff here. It's like fine. This one's like fine. This is medium. This is not even for a guitar finish. And this is very extremely, that'd be the last one you want to use. So you want to start with the roughest. Buff your entire guitar. Use a different wheel. Change your wheel. Then buff with this. You just let the wheel spin and stick this up against the wheel and get it on there. Just stick it up against the wheel and let it get on there. But what I'm saying is, you have a wheel for each one of these. Okay, you need to have, because you never want to use this right here and then use the same wheel and use this one, and then it just doesn't work, man. You need one wheel for every one of these that you're going to use. Okay, so you'd start with that one and go with this one, and then the very fine last. Now, a few things about the wheel. I think you can see. Let's say this wheel is spinning this way. Can you see this? At all times, everything I talk about, the wheel spins that way. Okay? That's the way they normally spin anyway. Let's say I have a big bench buffer here. I did have, and it's all gone now. Anyways, the wheel spins this way, okay? First off, they say you can't get a glossy, high gloss look without high RPMs. That's not true, really. High RPMs helps you, but you can do it with a drill, man. You could use these on a drill and make that guitar very high glossy. But let's say the wheel spins the same distance, turning this way, okay? You never want to come up on an edge like this with your buffer. You don't ever want to do that. Never. Always work from inside off of the edges. You know what I mean? off of the edges like so. Off of the edge, off of the edge. Then when I got to do this side, I'd have to turn the entire guitar around so I could do this very same thing on that side. You know what I mean? When you come up to the hole, your thing's turning this way. You want to spin off. Of course, you won't have strings on it. You know, don't come into it with your wheel turning like this, the opposite direction. Don't come into it that way. If it was turning that way, then I'd have to come over here, you know, and come into it this way. Now, you want to watch for speed build up here too, because that wheel, well, depending on how fast yours turns, but at a high RPM, it's going to get hot. It's going to generate some heat. You never want to stay in one place very long. You never want to stop the wheel from moving. It should be moving the entire time it's touching the guitar, top or back or sides or whatever. Same thing here when you're doing the sides. See, you want to come off. The wheel's turning this way, remember. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not. I can't see the camera good enough to tell. You know, you want to come off of that edge like that. You never want to be turning, you know, that's right for this here. It's wrong for doing the sides. See, I'd have to come in and go off the bottom side with the wheel turning that way. But we're talking about it turning this way. At all times, think of the wheel as turning this way. So this way, see, I could come off of this edge fine with no problem. Or, you know, work my way up it. You don't want to do that down here because you're going to be coming into it with the wheel. And that's a very bad thing. Like I say, you can build heat up very quick. So you take this first one in your wheel and you buff the entire guitar, okay? You're going to feel heat. You're going to be able to lay your hand on it, feel heat. After you buff with that first bar, do not wipe it off with any kind of cloth. Don't, just leave it alone. And leave it alone until you can no longer feel heat, okay? Then you can wipe it off, alright? Then get you another wheel, and you use the next grit of whatever cut it is that you're using. New wheel, and very same thing. Always come from the inside out off of those edges. Never come into, you know, it like that. You can damage things. The buffer can jerk the guitar completely out of your hand. A lot of things. Just don't do it, man. I hope I'm making that clear. The wheel's turning this way. Don't come into it like that. Always work from the inside off of the edge. Out, you know, out and off of the edge as the wheel turns. Same back here. You always want to come off the edge. I'd have to turn around the guitar this way. The wheel's still turning that same direction, but it looks different to you now because you're on the other side. That gets complicated. Anyways, when you buff your entire guitar with this one, same thing again. Feel it. Make sure you can't feel any heat whatsoever. Okay? Then you can wipe it down. Don't wipe it off. Take my word for this. Do not wipe that guitar off while it feels hot. Especially with nitro. Then you want to take your third superfine here. You want to make sure your guitar is clean too before you ever even start this. And yet another new wheel. You need to mark your wheels too, so you'll know, you know, which wheel goes with which bar. So we're on this one here. And this one, it's kind of tricky too. You're not really, it's super fine. This white one is fine, okay? This is medium fine, and this is super fine. So that one, you never want to put this shit on the guitar. You know, put your wheel against it and build it up on the wheel, and then come in here, start working the same thing. Work your way out to the outer edges. If it's got a sound hole, if it's an electric guitar, of course, well, some of them do. But if it's got a sound hole, always, you know, come, you know, into it this way. The wheel's turning the right way for me to do that right here. But if I come over here and I hit that wheel in there like that, it's still turning this way. And you know, it's bad news, man. You're gonna have troubles if you do that. I like to say light scratches you can get out sometimes, not always. You may have to take sandpaper, different grades. I've learned using, if you watch my video on Fred erasers, for very, very light sanding on guitar finish. They work good, but you got to be careful with make sure you got the right grit. I'd suggest if you use erasers, start with the lightest one you've got, and you know, figure out what you need from there. I think the lightest one I have, I think, is 8,000. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So I would start with 8,000 grit, and maybe that would do it, but maybe not. But anyway, keep that wheel moving, man. Don't stop anywhere. Pay attention to if you're making heat or not. You know, keep an eye on that, because you don't want to make any heat very much. I mean, you're going to have a little bit, and that works in your favor. But you don't want, you know, if you get too hot, you're going to start blistering the finish, and bad things will happen, man. You don't want to do that, get it that hot. Now there again, after you finish with your fine cut, or fine polish buffing material, or buffing compound, after you finish that, there again, make sure the guitar's cooled down. Feel it if you're buffing the back or sides or whatever you're working on. Make sure it's cool before you ever wipe it down. Don't wipe it down, man, while it's hot like that. After it cools down, then you can wipe it off with the, I like to use those microfiber cloths. Some people says not to use them. I use them all the time. Have great results with it. And then after I wipe it down, personally, I like to use Smith Pro Formula Polish. This stuff smells good, and it will do wonders, man, on a glossy finish. I don't think you would want to use that on satin finish, probably, unless you wanted a glossy look, because it would probably almost give it to you. And that's the very last thing that I put on, you know, if I buff a guitar. A lot of times this will do it and just clean your guitar up. But if it needs buffed, the buffing takes all the cigarette smoke and the, you know, just everything off, man. You just got pure finish there. You need to remove all the hardware. Of course, you can't take your bridge off. You can tape around it. You need to take the keys off if you're gonna buff the peg head. I know you guys love that word. The headstock. Take all the hardware off you can get off. Same thing on electric guitars. Now, like if you take the pickups out or you have the back cavity off, very same thing applies. You want to come into that thing, come off of it, you know, from the inside. From the outside, I guess. Don't let your wheel spin like in this direction. You know, it's spinning the right direction here for this on this side. But when I come around over here, I'd have to come at it like that with the way the direction the wheel is spinning. Keep those things in mind, and you'll be a lot happier buffer, I think. Now there's a lot more to buffing than what I've touched on in this video. I just touched on the bare basics of it, things to look out for. There's a lot to it. You can really screw your finish up, especially with a high speed, high RPM buffer. The same things I told you here about coming off of the edges, according to the way the wheel's spinning, applies even at low speeds. So anyways, you guys are getting ready to get into buffing. I hope it helps you. Oh yeah. Let me show you a trick here. I need a magic wand of some kind. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. This will work. I got a penny here. What I have here is a penny. I'll put it on my hand so you can see it. It's just a pen I picked up over there. I'm going to turn that penny into a dime, so watch closely. The damn camera will focus. There you go. It's a dime. Cheers. See you next time.